Ambassador Claire Morgan walked through the long hallway of Nexus Prime Station. Her black shoes made soft sounds on the metal floor. She carried a simple briefcase in her right hand. Inside were the peace documents that Earth had worked on for 2 years. Claire hoped today would bring peace to the galaxy. The meeting room was huge. A round table sat in the center with chairs for delegates from 20 different worlds. Large windows showed the stars outside. Claire took her seat and looked around. She saw familiar faces and some new ones. Zareth from the Zephyrian Empire sat across the table. The elf woman had long silver hair that fell down her back. Her violet eyes looked cold. She wore a flowing white dress that seemed to glow. Zareth was known for being proud and thinking her people were better than others. Next to her sat Keshra from the Manthari Collective. The insect-like alien had a hard shell that looked like crystal. Forearms moved as she arranged her papers. Her large compound eyes reflected the room lights. Keshra made clicking sounds when she was thinking. Chancellor Velena from the Altarian Federation had blue skin and was very tall. She had been coming to these meetings for 30 years. Her people controlled many trade routes in the outer rim of the galaxy. Admiral Lisa Kane sat behind Claire in the observer section. Lisa wore her Earth Fleet uniform with pride. She had short brown hair and sharp green eyes. Lisa did not like diplomatic meetings much. She preferred action to talking. But she came to support Claire and to learn about the other species. Meeting started when the council speaker called for order. Claire stood up when her turn came. She opened her briefcase and took out the treaty documents. Friends and fellow beings of the galaxy, Claire began. Earth presents a new peace proposal. Today, we have studied the conflicts in the Outer Rim territories. We believe there is a way for all of us to share the resources without fighting. She explained how Earth wanted to create trade zones where all species could work together. The plan would divide mining rights fairly. It would set up joint colonies where different species could live in peace. Earth offered to share its technology for farming and medicine. We can build a future where our children do not know war, Claire said. Earth believes that cooperation makes us all stronger. When Claire finished speaking, the room was quiet for a moment. Then Zareth started to laugh. It was not a kind laugh. Other delegates looked at her, and some began to smile in mean ways. How sweet, Zareth said as she stood up. Her voice was smooth, but had sharp edges. The young humans think they can teach us about peace. Tell me, Ambassador Morgan, how long has your species been traveling between stars? About 150 years, Claire answered calmly. 150 years, Zareth repeated, still smiling coldly. My people have been masters of space for over 3,000 years. We have conquered worlds that your species cannot even imagine. And you think you can tell us how to live? Keshra made clicking sounds that meant she was amused. The human military is like children playing with toys, she said in her buzzing voice. We have seen your little ships. They are slow and weak. How can a species with such pathetic forces speak of dividing territories? More laughter came from around the table. Chancellor Velena shook her blue head. Earth has nice ideas, she said. But this galaxy is not a place for nice ideas. The strong take what they want. The weak give up what they have. This is the way it has always been. Admiral Lisa Kane felt her hands form fists as she listened. She kept her face calm, but inside she was angry. These aliens did not know what they were talking about. They had never seen what humans could really do when pushed too far. Your farming worlds produce good food, said another delegate. Perhaps you should focus on that instead of trying to be soldiers and diplomats. Yes, agreed Zareth. Leave the important decisions to species that understand power. Humans are too soft, too weak. You speak of sharing and cooperation because you cannot take what you want by force. Claire felt her cheeks get warm, but she did not show anger. We believe that working together creates more wealth and happiness for everyone. Working together, Keshra clicked mockingly. Your species will learn. When you have been slaves for a few hundred years, you will understand how the galaxy really works. The insults continued for an hour. Delegate after delegate stood up to explain why Earth's ideas were foolish. They called humans naive children. They said human technology was primitive. They laughed at Earth's small fleet of ships. We have decided, Zareth announced finally. The Zephyrian Empire rejects this treaty. We will take what we want from the Outer Rim territories. If Earth tries to stop us, we will show you what real power looks like. The Manthari Collective agrees, Keshra added. Human colonies in our path will be given one chance to surrender. After that, we take what we need. One by one, the other delegates rejected the peace treaty. Some were more polite than others, but the message was clear. They saw humans as weak newcomers who did not deserve respect. Claire packed her papers back into the briefcase. Her hands did not shake, even though she felt hurt and angry inside. Earth is disappointed by your decision, she said quietly. We hoped for a better future for all of us. The future belongs to the strong, Zareth replied. Your species will learn this lesson soon enough. As the meeting ended, Admiral Kane walked up to Claire. Are you all right? Lisa asked quietly. I am fine, Claire said. But I think our peaceful days are over. Lisa nodded. She had been expecting this. The aliens had made their choice. Now Earth would have to make its choice too. Lisa thought about the secret projects back home. The projects that these arrogant aliens knew nothing about. Should I send word to Earth Command? Lisa asked. Claire looked out the window at the stars. Somewhere out there, alien fleets were probably already moving toward human colonies. The time for talking was over. Yes, Claire said. Tell them to begin Protocol Nightfall. Lisa smiled for the first time that day. The aliens thought they knew about power. They were about to learn how wrong they were. Captain Amy Foster stood on the bridge of the UES Valiant and watched the stars through the main screen. Her ship was patrolling near the human colony of New Montana. The farming world had 2 million people who grew food for 12 other human settlements. Amy had been told to expect trouble, but the space around New Montana looked peaceful. Captain, called out Lieutenant Kelly Brooks from the sensor station. I am picking up multiple contacts coming out of faster-than-light travel. Amy moved to look at the sensor display. 12 ships had appeared at the edge of the solar system. The computer identified them as Zephyrian Empire vessels. Their long, elegant shapes looked like silver knives cutting through space. Open a communication channel, Amy ordered. The main screen changed to show Zareth sitting in what looked like a throne made of crystal. The elf woman wore armor that seemed to be made of flowing metal. Her violet eyes looked directly at Amy with cold amusement. Human Captain, Zareth said in her smooth voice. I am here to claim this system for the Zephyrian Empire. Your people have 1 hour to evacuate the planet. After that, we will take what we need. This is human territory, Amy replied firmly. You have no right to be here. Zareth laughed. Rights belong to those strong enough to defend them. Your single ship cannot stop my fleet. Amy looked at her crew. The Valiant was a good ship with brave people, but Zareth was right about the numbers. 12 enemy ships against 1 was not. Good odds. We will not abandon our people, Amy said. Then you will die with them, Zareth replied. The communication ended. Amy turned to her weapons officer. Charge all weapon systems. Send a message to New Montana. Tell them to prepare emergency evacuation procedures. The Zephyrian ships moved toward the planet in a perfect formation. Amy had studied their fighting style. They liked to look graceful, even in battle. Their ships could move fast, and their weapons were powerful. "Enemy ships are targeting us," reported the weapons officer. "All power to shields," Amy ordered. "Take us toward the lead ship." The space battle began with bright flashes of energy. The Zephyrian ships fired beams of purple light that hit the Valiant's shields. Amy's ship fired back with blue energy bolts. For a few minutes, it looked like the human ship might have a chance. Then more Zephyrian ships surrounded the Valiant. Energy beams came from all directions. The ship shook as the shields failed. Explosions echoed through the halls. "Hull breach on Deck 7, called out the damage control officer. "We have lost half our crew." Amy felt her heart break as she heard the names of her dead friends. But she could not give up. Below them, 2 million humans needed protection. "Emergency jump preparation," Amy ordered. "We will retreat and call for help." The Valiant escaped just as its main power failed. Amy watched on her screen as the Zephyrian ships moved toward New Montana. She had failed to stop them. In the Kepler system, Commander Maya Rodriguez led a squadron of 12 human fighter ships. They were guarding the mining stations that provided metals for Earth's shipyards. Maya was known as one of the best pilots in the human fleet. "Contact on long range." "Sensors," her wingman reported. "Looks like a big one." Maya checked her instruments. A swarm of small ships was approaching fast. The computer counted over 50 vessels. They had the strange angular shape of Manthari collective fighters. "All fighters, this is Red Leader." Maya spoke into her radio. "Form up for defensive pattern. Protect the mining stations." The Manthari swarm attacked like angry insects. Their ships moved in ways that seemed impossible. They could turn and spin without slowing down. Each ship fired rapid bursts of green energy. Maya's squadron fought bravely. Human pilots were good at thinking fast and working together. But there were too many enemy ships. For every Manthari fighter they destroyed, 2 more took its place. "Red 3 is down," came a voice over the radio. "Then Red 7 is hit bad." One by one, Maya heard her friends die, but Maya managed to destroy 4 enemy ships before her fighter took a hit that killed her engines. She used her last power to send a warning message to Earth Command. Then she watched as the Manthari swarm moved toward the defenseless mining stations. On Earth, Fleet Admiral Lisa Kane sat in the command center deep under the Rocky Mountains. Screens all around her showed the positions of human and alien fleets across the galaxy. The news was bad from every front. "Report from New Montana," called out an officer. "The colony has fallen. Zephyrian forces are landing troops." "Kepler, mining stations are under attack," reported another officer. "We have lost contact with Commander Rodriguez." Lisa watched the red dots on her display as alien fleets moved toward human colonies. The Zephyrians were attacking the farming worlds. The Manthari were hitting the mining operations. Other alien species were joining the fight. Dr. Rebecca Stone entered the command center carrying a tablet computer. She was Earth's best expert on alien species and had been studying their attack patterns. "Admiral," Rebecca said, "I have analyzed the enemy movements. They are following exactly the strategy I predicted." "What do you mean?" Lisa asked. "They are being arrogant," Rebecca explained. "The Zephyrians think they are so superior that they are not even trying to hide their movements. The Manthari are using swarm tactics because they believe humans cannot handle multiple targets. They all think this will be easy." Lisa smiled grimly. "Are our preparations ready?" "Yes, ma'am," Rebecca replied. "All stealth ships are in position. The solar engineering teams are standing by. Protocol Nightfall can begin at your command." Around the galaxy, more human colonies sent desperate messages for help. The aliens were winning every battle. Human ships retreated or were destroyed. It looked like Earth's military was falling. Apart, on the Galactic Council Station, Zareth held a celebration party. Elf nobles drank wine and congratulated each other on their easy victories. "The humans are running away everywhere," Zareth announced to her guests. "Their pathetic fleet cannot stand against true warriors." Keshra arrived with news from her own forces. "My swarms have taken 6 mining systems," she clicked proudly. Human resistance was weaker than expected. Other alien commanders shared their victories. The humans seemed to be losing on every front. Ships were retreating. Colonies were surrendering. It was exactly what the aliens had predicted. "Perhaps we were too harsh in the peace talks," joked one delegate. "We should have given the humans a chance to surrender properly." The aliens laughed and continued their celebration. They sent messages across the galaxy, telling everyone about human weakness. The species that had dared to offer peace terms was being destroyed in just a few days. But in hidden places, human ships waited quietly. Captain Nicole Turner sat in the command chair of the UE Shadow, a ship that could not be detected by normal sensors. Her vessel was positioned near the Zephyrian home system, watching and waiting. "Signal from Earth Command," her communications. Officer whispered, "All units prepare for Protocol Nightfall." Nicole smiled. The aliens thought they were winning. They had no idea what was really happening. While they celebrated their victories, Earth was moving pieces on a much larger game. "Board. Send acknowledgement," Nicole ordered quietly. "Tell Admiral Kane that Shadow Unit is ready." Similar messages went out to dozens of human ships hiding near alien home systems. The retreat had been planned. The losses had been acceptable costs. Now it was time to show the galaxy what humans could really do when they stopped being nice on Earth. Admiral Kane looked at the tactical display one more time. Everything was ready. The aliens had made their choice when they rejected peace. Now they would learn about war. "Begin Protocol Nightfall," Lisa commanded. Across the galaxy, the real battle was about to begin. General Patricia Wells stood in the secret command bunker on Mars. The Red Planet had become Earth's main military planning center. Huge screens showed star maps with thousands of colored dots representing ships across the galaxy. Patricia had been working on this plan for 5 years, ever since Earth first made contact with the alien empires. "Status report on all stealth units," Patricia called out to her staff. "Shadow Fleet is in position around 12 major alien systems," reported Colonel Janet Hill. "All ships are undetected and waiting for orders." Patricia nodded. While the aliens celebrated their easy victories, they had no idea that human ships had been quietly moving into position for months. The ships that seemed to be retreating were actually following a careful plan. Captain Nicole Turner watched her instruments aboard the UES Shadow. Her ship floated in the darkness between 2 planets near the Zephyrian home world of Ethros. The Shadow was covered in special materials that made it invisible to enemy sensors. Nicole had been waiting here for 3 weeks. "Captain," whispered her science officer, "the Zephyrian home fleet is leaving the system. Looks like they are going to attack more human colonies." Nicole smiled. The aliens were making exactly the mistake Earth had hoped for. They were sending their best ships far away from home because they thought humans were weak and broken. "Send a coded message to Earth Command," Nicole ordered. "Tell them Ethros is now lightly defended." Similar reports came from human stealth ships near other alien home worlds. The Manthari had sent their swarms to attack human mining stations. The Altarians had moved their fleets to claim new territory. All of the alien species were making the same mistake. Engineer Samantha Blake worked in a laboratory deep inside the moon. She stood next to a machine that was as big as a building. The device looked like a giant mirror made of millions of tiny pieces. Each piece could be controlled separately. Final test complete, Samantha announced to her team. The solar collector array is ready for deployment. How big can we make the shadow? Asked Dr. Laura Quinn, the physicist who had designed the theoretical framework. We can block the light from an entire star if we need to, Samantha replied. The array will unfold to a diameter of 50,000 kilometers once it is in space. Dr. Quinn checked her calculations one more time. The math was perfect. They could position these arrays between alien worlds and their suns. The planets would not be harmed, but they would receive no light or heat. Most alien species needed constant warmth from their stars to survive. Intelligence. Officer Donna Cross sat in her office, reading reports from human spies across the galaxy. Her network had been gathering information about alien weaknesses for decades. Dana knew which species needed sunlight for their food to grow. She knew which ones would panic if their worlds got cold. "Ma'am," said her assistant, "we have confirmation that the Zephyrian breeding season requires specific light frequencies from their sun. Without it, they cannot have children." "What about the Manthari?" Dana asked. "They are even more dependent on solar radiation. Their eggs will not hatch in darkness. A few days without sun, and their entire reproduction cycle stops." Dana smiled as she added this information to her files. Earth had been preparing for this war much longer than the aliens realized. On the command ship USS Titan, Captain Helen Price received new orders from Earth. Her vessel was one of the largest ships humans had ever built. It carried not weapons, but the massive solar array equipment that would make Protocol Nightfall possible. "Engineering, what is our status?" Helen asked over the ship's communication system. "All solar collector units are loaded and ready for deployment," came the reply. "We can position arrays around 3 star systems." Helen looked at her navigation charts. The Titan was heading toward the Zephyrian home system. Other ships like hers were moving toward different alien worlds. Soon the galaxy would see what human engineering could really do. Admiral Lisa Kane stood in Earth's command center watching reports from across the galaxy. The aliens were still celebrating their victories over human colonies. They had no idea that those defeats were part of a larger plan. "Ma'am," called out a communications officer, "we are receiving surrender messages from several human colonies." "Are they real surrenders?" Lisa asked. "No, ma'am. Code phrases confirm they are following the evacuation protocol. Civilian populations are being moved to safety while our people make it look like the colonies are falling." Lisa nodded. The hardest part of the plan was letting the aliens think they were winning. Human civilians had to be moved away from the fighting zones. Brave volunteers stayed behind to send fake surrender messages and make the defeats look real. Dr. Rebecca Stone studied the latest intelligence reports about alien fleet movements. The patterns were exactly what she had predicted. Arrogant species always made the same mistakes when they thought victory was easy. "They are spreading their forces too thin," Rebecca explained to Admiral Kane. "The Zephyrians have sent 80% of their home fleet to attack human farming worlds. The Manthari have committed their entire breeding swarm to capturing our mining stations." "What about their home defenses?" Lisa asked. "Minimal," Rebecca replied. "They think humans are too weak and primitive to threaten their core systems. They never imagined we might have the technology or the strategy to attack their home worlds." Lisa walked to the main tactical display. Red dots showed alien fleets attacking human territory, but blue dots showed human stealth units positioned near every major alien home system. The real battle was about to begin. "Order all units to begin final positioning," Lisa commanded. "I want solar arrays deployed around every major alien star within the next 6 hours." Across the galaxy, human ships began to move. The USS Titan and 11 other massive engineering vessels approached alien star systems. Smaller ships carried the components that would link together into giant mirrors in space. Captain Nicole Turner received her orders aboard the Shadow. All stealth units, begin Phase 2 of Protocol Nightfall. Move to solar deployment positions. Nicole's ship crept closer to the Zephyrian sun. Behind her, the massive engineering ships were arriving. Soon they would deploy arrays that could control how much light reached the planets below. The aliens were still focused on their attacks against human colonies. Zareth stood on the bridge of her flagship as it approached another human farming world. She was planning which cities to attack first when her communications officer spoke up. "Ma'am, we are receiving strange reports from our home system." "What kind of reports?" Zareth asked without much interest. "Long-range sensors show unknown objects near our sun. The objects are very large, but we cannot identify them." Zareth frowned. "Send a message to Home Fleet Command. Tell them to investigate." But Home Fleet Command was busy with their own strange reports. Sensor operators across the galaxy were detecting massive objects appearing near alien suns. The objects seemed to be mechanical, but they were bigger than any known spacecraft. On Earth, Admiral Kane watched as reports came in from all the deployment sites. "Status of solar array installation? 70% complete," reported General Wells. "All major alien systems will be covered within 2 hours. Any detection by enemy forces? Some sensor contacts, but they do not understand what they are seeing. Intelligence reports indicate they think the objects might be natural phenomena." Lisa smiled. The aliens were about to learn that humans were much more advanced than they had believed. While the alien species had focused on building bigger weapons, Earth had focused on understanding the fundamental forces that powered all life in the galaxy. "Prepare for final phase," Lisa commanded. "When all arrays are in position, we begin the demonstration." The largest military operation in human history was almost ready. Soon the galaxy would see that the species they had mocked for being weak and peaceful had the power to control the very stars themselves. Admiral Lisa Kane stood before the main command screen on Earth. The display showed 15 different star systems where human ships had positioned their solar arrays. Each system belonged to a different alien species that had rejected Earth's peace treaty. "Final status report," Lisa called out to her staff. "All solar collector arrays are deployed and operational," reported General Patricia Wells. "We have complete control over light distribution to 12 alien home worlds. Stealth fleet status? All shadow units are in defensive positions around the arrays," answered Colonel Hill. "Enemy fleets are still focused on attacking our colonies. They have not detected our real operation." Lisa looked at the chronometer on her wrist. The time had come to show the galaxy what human technology could really do. "Begin solar blockade protocol," Lisa commanded. "Start with the Zephyrian home world." Captain Helen Price stood on the bridge of the UES Titan near the Zephyrian sun. Around her ship, hundreds of smaller vessels had deployed mirror arrays that stretched across thousands of kilometers of space. The mirrors could be angled to redirect the stars' light away from the planets. "Initiate light redirection sequence," Helen ordered. The massive mirror array began to move. Like flower petals closing, the reflective surfaces turned away from the planet Ethros. The star's light that had warmed the Zephyrian homeworld for millions of years was now being sent into empty space. On Ethros, people in the capital city noticed the change within minutes. The sky began to dim even though it was the middle of the day. Temperature sensors showed the air getting colder. Zara single quotes received an emergency communication from her whole world while she was still attacking human colonies. The message came from her own sister, who served as a planetary administrator. "Zareth, something is wrong with our sun," the message said. "The light is fading. Our scientists cannot explain it. The temperature is dropping fast." Zarath looked at the message with confusion. That is impossible. Stars do not just stop shining. But more reports came in from other Zephyrian worlds. All of their planets were experiencing the same thing. The light from their suns was disappearing, and the worlds were getting cold at the same time. Similar events were happening around the galaxy. The Manthari homeworlds watched their suns grow dim. The Altarian Federation's core planets began to freeze. Every species that had mocked Earth's peace proposal was seeing their worlds fall into darkness. Dr. Laura Quinn monitored the solar engineering operation from her station on the moon. The physicist watched as energy readings showed the arrays working perfectly. The alien suns were not being harmed, but their light was being redirected away from inhabited planets. Temperature drop on Manthari Prime is now 15 degrees, reported her assistant. Their agricultural systems are starting to fail. What? About the Zephyrian worlds? Lavra asked. 20-degree drop, and still falling. At this rate, their cities will need emergency heating within 12 hours. Lavra nodded. The calculations had been perfect. Alien worlds that depended on constant warmth from their stars would become uninhabitable. Very quickly, once the light was blocked, Keshra was leading her swarm ships in an attack on a human mining station when the emergency messages reached her. The Manthari commander's compound eyes reflected her confusion as she read the reports. Impossible, she clicked angrily. Our breeding worlds are reporting solar failure. All of our suns are dimming at the same time. Her science officers had no explanation. According to their instruments, the stars themselves were fine. But something was preventing the light from reaching their planets. The Manthari eggs that needed solar radiation to hatch were already starting to die. On the Galactic Council Station, emergency sessions were being called as reports came in from across the galaxy. Alien delegates who had been celebrating their victories over humanity were now panicking about their homeworlds. This cannot be a coincidence, announced Chancellor Velena of the Altarian Federation. Every species that attacked the humans is experiencing solar anomalies. But humans do not have that kind of technology, protested another delegate. They are a primitive species with weak ships. The delegates argued while their worlds grew colder. None of them could imagine that the species they had mocked could control the very stars that gave life to their planets. Captain Nicole Turner watched the chaos from her stealth ship near Ethros. Zephyrian vessels were rushing back toward their home world, abandoning their attacks on human colonies. But they could not see the human ships that surrounded their sun. Captain, reported her sensor officer, Zephyrian home fleet is approaching. They are scanning for the source of the solar disruption. Let them look, Nicole replied with a smile. They will never find us. The Zephyrian ships searched desperately around their sun. Their sensors detected strange readings, but the human stealth technology kept the mirror arrays hidden. To the aliens, it looked like their star was simply failing for no reason. Admiral Kane received reports as alien fleets across the galaxy abandoned their attacks and rushed home to defend their dying worlds. The Manthari swarms that had been destroying human mining stations were now fleeing toward their breeding planets. The proud Zephyrian fleet was racing back to Ethros. Ma'am, called out the communications officer, we are receiving surrender requests from several alien governments. Already? Lisa asked with surprise. Yes, ma'am. The Altarian Federation is requesting immediate negotiations. They are offering to withdraw from all human territory. Lisa looked at the tactical display. It had been less than 6 hours since the solar blockade began, but alien worlds were already in crisis. Species that depended on constant warmth could not survive even a few days of darkness. What is the status of civilian populations on the affected worlds? Lisa asked. Dr. Rebecca Stone answered from her analysis station. No immediate danger to life, The planets are getting cold, but they will not freeze completely for several weeks. However, their food production is stopping, and their energy systems are failing. Lisa nodded. The goal was not to harm innocent alien civilians, but to show their governments that humanity had power beyond their imagination. Zareth finally reached her home system and saw the truth. Massive structures surrounded her sun, blocking its light from reaching Ethros. The structures were clearly artificial and far more advanced than anything the Zephyrian Empire could build. Open a communication channel to those vessels. Zareth H. ordered. Captain Helen. Price received the communication request aboard the Titan. She appeared on Zareth's screen, wearing her Earth Fleet uniform. I am Captain Helen Price of Earth Fleet. Helen said calmly. You are trespassing in a restricted military zone. Zareth stared at the human captain with shock. You are blocking our sun. Our world is dying. Your world is experiencing a controlled reduction in solar radiation, Helen replied. The effect is completely reversible when your government agrees to peace terms. This is impossible, Zareth said, her voice shaking. Humans do not have this technology. Helen smiled. You never asked what technology we had. You assumed we were weak because we preferred peace to war. Similar conversations were happening around the galaxy as alien commanders discovered human fleets controlling their suns. The species that had mocked Earth's peaceful intentions were learning that humans had capabilities far beyond their understanding. On Earth, Admiral Kane prepared to broadcast a message to the entire galaxy. The time for demonstrations was over. Now it was time to explain exactly what humanity expected from the species that had chosen war over peace. Open a channel to all alien governments, Lisa commanded. It is time they understood their situation. The emergency session of the Galactic Council was unlike any meeting in the organization's 3,000-year history. Delegates who had mocked Earth's peace proposal just days before now sat in desperate silence. Their home worlds were growing, colder by the hour, and they had no way to stop it. Ambassador Claire Morgan walked into the same meeting room where she had been humiliated. This time, every alien delegate stood up when she entered. The proud beings who had laughed at human weakness now looked at her with fear and respect. Claire carried the same briefcase with the same peace treaty. Nothing about the documents had changed, but everything else was different. Zareth H. was no longer wearing her flowing white dress. The Zephyrian ambassador now wore heavy winter clothing because her own body temperature was dropping. Her violet eyes no longer held cold amusement. They held desperation. Ambassador Morgan, Zareth said quietly, we need to talk. Claire took her seat at the table. Admiral Lisa Kane sat behind her in the same observer chair as before, but now every alien in the room kept glancing nervously at the human military officer. The Galactic Council recognizes Ambassador Claire Morgan of Earth, announced the council speaker. His voice shook as he spoke. Claire opened her briefcase and took out the peace treaty. Earth's position has not changed, she said calmly. We still believe that cooperation and shared resources will benefit all species in the galaxy. Our worlds are dying, Chancellor Velena said urgently. Her blue skin had turned pale from the cold affecting her home planet. You must restore light to our suns immediately. The light will be restored when peace is established, Claire replied. Earth has shown that we have the power to control the fundamental forces that support life on your worlds. We prefer to use this power to create peace rather than destruction. Keshra S. Clicking sounds were different now. Instead of amusement, they showed panic. How long can you maintain the solar blockades? She asked. Admiral Kane spoke for the first time. As long as necessary. Our technology requires very little maintenance. We can keep your worlds in darkness for years if needed. The alien delegates looked at each other with growing horror. They had started a war they could not win against an enemy they had completely misunderstood. "What are your terms?" asked Zareth quietly. Claire spread the treaty documents on the table. "The same terms we offered before. Shared mining rights in the Outer Rim territories. Joint colonies where all species can work together. Technology exchange programs. And most importantly, a promise that all disputes will be resolved through negotiation rather than war." "But we attacked your colonies," protested another delegate. "We destroyed your ships. Why would you offer the same terms?" "Because Earth believes in peace," Claire answered. "We did not want this war. We tried to prevent it. When you forced us to fight, we chose to demonstrate our power in a way that could be easily reversed. We could have destroyed your worlds, but we chose to save them instead." President Michelle Carter's image appeared on the large screen at the front of the room. The leader of Earth looked tired but determined as she addressed the alien delegates. "People of the galaxy," President Carter began, "Earth has always believed that our differences make us stronger when we work together. You chose to see our desire for peace as weakness. You have now learned that our greatest strength comes from our restraint." The president paused to let her words sink in. "Every human technology that blocked your suns could have been used as a weapon. We could have turned your stars into bombs. We could have burned your worlds instead of cooling them. We chose the path that preserved life while demonstrating our capabilities. How did you develop such advanced technology without us knowing?" asked Chancellor Velna. Dr. Rebecca Stone stepped forward from the Earth delegation. "While your species focused on building bigger weapons and conquering more territory, humanity focused on understanding the fundamental forces of the universe. We studied your species for decades. We learned your strengths and your weaknesses. We prepared for peace, but we also prepared for war. The retreat of our fleets was planned," added Admiral Kane. "We needed your forces to be far from your home worlds when we began the solar blockade. Every battle you won was part of our strategy." The alien delegates realized they had been completely outmaneuvered. While they celebrated easy victories, Earth had been executing a plan that took years to develop. "We accept your terms," Zareth said quietly. "The Zephyrian Empire agrees to the peace treaty." "The Manthari Collective also accepts," clicked Keshra desperately. "Please restore light to our breeding worlds immediately." One by one, every alien government that had rejected Earth's original peace proposal now agreed to the same terms. They signed documents giving humans equal rights in the Outer Rim territories. They promised to resolve future disputes through negotiation. They agreed to technology sharing programs. But Claire was not finished. "There is one additional term. That was not in the original treaty." The alien delegates looked worried. They were completely at Earth's mercy and knew it. "Earth requires representation on the Galactic Defense Council," Claire announced. "We want a permanent voice in decisions that affect galactic security." "The Defense Council has only had alien members for 3,000 years, protested one delegate. "Then it is time for a change," Admiral Kane said firmly. "Earth has demonstrated that we have the military capability to defend galactic peace. We have also shown that we have the wisdom to use that capability responsibly." The vote was unanimous. Every alien species agreed to give Earth a permanent seat on the Galactic Defense Council. Admiral Kane was elected as the first human member. Claire signed the treaty documents and handed copies to each alien delegation. "Earth will begin restoring light to your worlds immediately. Full solar restoration will be complete within 24 hours. Across the galaxy, human ships began adjusting their mirror rays. Light slowly returned to alien worlds that had been growing cold and dark. Temperature readings started climbing back to normal levels. Agricultural systems came back online, but the galaxy had changed forever. The species that had mocked humanity as weak and naive now treated Earth with deep, Respect. Human colonies that had been under attack were now protected by alien fleets, eager to prove their commitment to peace. Dr. Rebecca Stone established the Interspecies Research Initiative with funding from every major alien government. The program would study ways to prevent future conflicts and improve cooperation between different species. President Carter addressed the people of Earth in a broadcast. It was also transmitted to every world in the galaxy. Today we have achieved peace, not through conquest, but through strength guided by wisdom. We showed the galaxy that humanity's greatest power is our ability to choose mercy when we could choose destruction. 6 months later, Ambassador Claire Morgan walked through the same hallway on Nexus Prime Station. But this time she was not alone. Delegates from 12 different species walked with her, discussing plans for the first joint colony in the Outer Rim territories. Zareth approached Claire as they entered the meeting room. The Zephyrian ambassador looked healthy again, now that her world had full sunlight. Ambassador Morgan, Zareth said respectfully, I owe you an apology. We underestimated your species completely. We all make mistakes, Claire replied with a smile. What matters is that we learn from them. The meeting that day was different from any previous council session. Instead of arguing about territory and resources, the delegates worked together to plan joint projects. Mining operations would be shared between species. New colonies would welcome inhabitants from multiple worlds. Technology would be freely exchanged to benefit everyone. Admiral Kane attended the meeting as the newest member of the Defense Council. Her uniform now included insignia showing her rank as a galactic protector. But she still remembered the day when aliens had laughed at human military capabilities. Admiral, asked Chancellor Velena during a break in the meeting, will Earth share the solar engineering technology with other species? Lisa considered the question carefully. Earth will share defensive applications of the technology. We believe all species should be able to protect their worlds from natural disasters like solar flares. But the military applications will remain under human control. That is fair, Velena agreed. Your species has earned the right to be the guardians of such powerful technology. As the meeting ended, Claire looked out the window at the stars. Somewhere out there, human and alien crews were working together on projects that would have been impossible before the war. Children from different species were learning about each other in joint schools. Scientists were sharing discoveries that would benefit the entire galaxy. The species that had once mocked Earth's peace talks now understood the true meaning of the phrase that had become humanity's motto across the galaxy. We prefer peace, but we excel at war. But more importantly, they had learned that the greatest victory was not the one achieved through destruction, but the one that created a better future for everyone. Earth had not just won a war. It had won the right to lead the galaxy toward a peace that would last for generations. The stars that had once seemed cold and hostile now shone with the promise of cooperation and friendship between all the species that called the galaxy home.